Good morning, everybody. So we're going to continue from where we stopped last time of the Untouchable, right? So we'll continue. It's on page 10, towards the middle of the page. Baka had looked at the Tommies, stared at them with wonder and amazement when he first went to live at the British regimental barracks with his uncle. So Baka is the main hero of the story. He is a sweeper boy. Sweeper means that he is an untouchable. As an untouchable, he belongs to the lowest class of society, which is poverty-stricken. Now, poverty-stricken means that, he doesn't have any of the comforts of life, and he is not even allowed to see any of the comforts of life which the upper castes have. He is not even allowed to go near them. So once Baka had got a chance to live at the British regimental barracks with his uncle. So he went to the British barracks. Barracks are the places where the soldiers are stationed in a town. A regiment is a troop of soldiers, a division of the army. So where the British soldiers were living, he went there with his uncle. And when he saw the Englishman for the first time, up to that time his life was filled with very dull and very, it was not a nice life. But when he sees these British men, British soldiers, their fair looks, their clean clothes, the way they dress, he immediately becomes captivated by that sight. He looks at them with wonder. Right? So he had glimpses during his sojourn there of the life the Tommies had lived. So every now and then he glimpsed. Glimpse means he had a small look. Okay? During his sojourn there. A sojourn is a short holiday. He had gone there for a short time with his uncle. So during his sojourn there, he saw the lives the Tommies had lived. Sleeping on strange, low canvas beds, covered tightly with blankets, eating eggs, drinking tea and wine in tin mugs, going to parade and then walking to the bazaar with cigarettes in their mouths and small silver-mounted canes in their hands. So this is the way the British soldiers, that is the Tommies live, right? In the barracks, they used to sleep on strange canvas beds, and they used to cover themselves with blankets to keep out the cold. And their diet consists of eating eggs and drinking tea and wine from tin mugs. So all these are luxuries to Baka: eggs, tea, wine, canvas beds, blankets. All these are from a world he doesn't know. He doesn't know what. He hasn't seen that sort of thing before. And these British soldiers, they used to walk to the bazaar with cigarettes in their mouths and small silver-mounted canes in their hands. And he has soon become possessed with an overwhelming desire to live their life. So there was an overwhelming desire. It means he could not control himself. He wanted, one way or the other, to live like the Tommies. He wanted to live like the British, right? He knew they were white sahibs. As you know, a sahib is upper class. It's a term applied to the upper class. And he knew they were white sahibs, right? He had felt that to put on their clothes made one a sahib too. So, you see here, he's saying that if you dress like someone, you will become like them, right? So the outer appearance. So he says, he felt to put on their clothes made one aside. So people would treat you with respect, people would treat you with dignity if you dress well, right? So he tried to copy them in everything, to copy them as well as he could in the exigencies of his peculiarly Indian circumstances. So he tried as hard as he could to copy the British soldiers. Whatever situations he was, as far as he could, he tried to copy them. Right? How did he get the clothes of the Tommies? He said, we're told, he had begged one Tommy for the gift of a pair of trousers. So he had, literally begged one of the British soldiers for a pair of trousers. The man had given him instead a pair of breeches which he had to spare. So breeches are like shorts, right? A Hindu sepoy, for the good of his own soul, had been kind enough to make an endowment of a pair of boots and puttees. A Hindu sepoy. And so in Hinduism, the belief is that if you help the poor and the needy, then your soul will go to heaven. So one of the Hindu sepoys, for the good of his own soul, had been kind enough to make an endowment. Endowment is a gift of a pair of boots and puttees. For the other items, he had gone down to the rag seller's shop in town. He had long looked at that shop. Ever since he was a child, he had walked past a wooden stall on which lay heaped the scarlet and khaki uniforms discarded or pawned by the Tommies, pith solar topis, peak caps, knives, forks, buttons, old books, and other oddments of Anglo-Indian life. So in the rag seller shop, what you call butchery, okay? In this shop, he had this long looked at that shop from a distance, right? So on the stall, in the stall of that shop, there lay there's a bunch of scarlet and khaki uniforms. Scarlet means the red army uniform of the British soldiers, the khaki uniforms. Khaki is of course the color of the clothes worn by the police here, right? So that scarlet and khaki uniforms discarded. Discarded means thrown away or pawned by the Tommies. Pawned means they've given their uniforms and asked for some money in return, right? So they had pawned their uniforms. They had pawned their pith solar topis. Solar topis is that white hat that the British wear. Knives, forks, buttons, old books, peak caps, and other oddments. Oddments are bits and pieces of Anglo-Indian life. So that rag seller shop had all these things, and Baka knew that if he could get some money, he could buy. But there was a problem. He had never mustered up courage enough to go up to the keeper of the shop and ask him the price of anything, lest it should be a price he could not pay, and lest the man should find from his talk that he was a sweeper boy. So there are two problems. One is that to buy from that shop, there are two problems. One is that the price may be too high. The second problem is the shopkeeper may find out he's a sweeper boy. As a sweeper boy, he is not even allowed to go there, right? So, once they finish their work, these Dalits have to go back to the colony outside the town. They're not supposed to linger in the town. So if the rag shop, the owner had found out that he was a sweeper boy, then he would immediately refuse outright to sell him anything. So Baka had to be very careful. If he wants to buy anything from that shop, first of all, he should be able to afford it, and second, he must disguise the fact that he is a Dalit, he is an untouchable, right? So he had stared and stared. He had looked long and he had looked hungrily at the goods of that shop, stealthily noticing the variety of their queer, well-cut forms. Stealthily, cautiously, carefully, he had observed the variety, the number of queer, well-cut forms, the strange forms of the clothes there. I will look like a sahib, he had secretly told himself. Somehow or the other, he will buy those clothes, he told himself. And I shall walk like them, just as they do. Twos with Chota as my companion. So the British soldiers, they used to walk in twos. They never walked alone. They always had some company. So they always walked in twos with Chota as my companion. Chota is one of the friends of Papa. But I have no money to buy things. And there his fantasy would break down and he would walk away from the shop rather crestfallen. Crest is this. Crestfallen means that you feel discouraged. So when he remembers the fact that he doesn't have enough money to buy those goods, then he becomes discouraged and he bends his head low and walk away from the shop. Then he had the good luck to come by some money at the British barracks. The pay which he received there had, of course, to be given to his father. So he got this opening came up, and he worked there, but all the money he got for the job had to be given to his father. But the baksheesh which he had collected from the trolleys amounted to 10 rupees, and although he couldn't buy all the things in the rag seller shop he wished to, he had been able to buy the jacket, the overcoat, the blanket he slept under, and had a few annas left over for the enjoyment of red lamp cigarettes. Right? So from the baksheesh is the tips. He used to work, he used to give the salary to his father, but he used to get baksheesh, he used to get tips from the British soldiers, and that amounted to 10 rupees. 10 rupees was quite a lot of money in those days when the novel was written 1940, 1950. So with that 10 rupees, he had bought quite a few things from the rag seller shop. He had bought the jacket, the overcoat, the blanket he slept under, and a few annas he had left over for the enjoyment of red lamps. So he imitated the Tommies, he imitated the British in everything he did. His father had been angry at his extravagance, and the boys of the outcast colony, even Chota and Ramcharan, cut jokes with him on account of his new rig out, calling him Pilpali Sahib. Right? So that is the term of fun to call Papa, Pilpali Sahib. So he had a new rig out, he's wearing the British coat, he's wearing the overcoat, all this, the solar topi and everything. So his friends Chota and Ramcharan made jokes of him, and his father had been angry at his extravagance. So why do you want to spend money on these things when we don't have enough money to eat? And he knew, of course, that except for his English clothes, there was nothing English in his life. But he kept up his new uniform, rigidly adhering to his clothes day and night, and guarding them from all base taint of Indianness, not even raising the formlessness of an Indian poet, though he shivered with the cold at night. So he protected his clothes as well as he could, right? Even though, so he wanted to be like the English, but apart from his clothes, there was nothing English in his life. So he kept on his new uniform, and he wore them by day and slept in them by night, and he didn't even cover himself with the quilt because he didn't want the Indian blanket to touch his clothes, his British clothes, right? So we'll stop there. Okay, thank you.